I am Bread, a story which grabs the hearts of many. In this tale, a slice of bread awkwardly flops across entire rooms on its perilous journey to become the greatest version of itself. Toast. Second only to our protagonist Bread is Bob Merton, a man in the midst of modern life, being crushed beneath it all. His wife Barbara has left him, his entrepreneurial ventures have failed, and now he works a job he considers beneath him, only to return home each night to an empty house devoid of love and cleanliness. Little does this sad little man know that his life's journey will soon cross with a being he never could have imagined, save for being gently lathered with jam and pressed against a companion lathered in peanut butter. And what does this creature of wheat bring to Mr. Merton? What does its journey to become golden brown represent in the context of Mr. Merton's fading happiness? As we traverse this lonely old man's house and even the outside world, a strange and unlikely purpose will be revealed to us through the eyes of Bread. The story that Mr. Merton never saw coming. The story he never knew. We begin with a note by Mr. Merton's therapist, employed by none other than the therapy barn. You'll never want to leave! Now there's a sustainable business model. Among Mr. Merton's stress points that we talked about earlier, the therapist has also mentioned Merton's plans to go shopping and eat himself to death. Little does he know what chaos the grocery store holds. It's after this fateful shopping trip that we first see Merton's unkempt house through the metaphorical eyes of this glorious loaf of bread. And so the journey of flopping begins, with all the powerful emotions and personal strife that will soon come with it. Bread's first mission takes place in the kitchen, where it must elegantly traverse whatever path it can to become toast. And so it does, carefully perfecting its level of toastiness until... beautiful. 10 out of 10. And again, a note from Merton's psychologist. This time, the worried man complains someone broke into his house, but only trashed the kitchen. He worries that the council is tormenting him, while the therapy barn psychologist humors Merton and suggests he moves his kitchen items into the lounge. Of course, this psychologist cannot comprehend the wheated warrior his client is dealing with, and believes Merton is in fact destroying his own house. The next day, the loaf continues its quest in its new location. All around the room are empty bottles of alcohol and pictures of a woman who is presumably Barbara. She's gone, Bob. She's gone! But Bread doesn't let this man's sorrows affect its drive, for there's an array of options for Bread to become toast. A radiator, a television, a VCR. Why isn't it? No. Damn 90s technology! Is this not how it works? No wonder I never figured out Napster. In spite of these setbacks, Bread shows its ingenuity by throwing its weight against a bowling ball so that gravity may do the rest. Go, Bread, go! Yes, flip! Again! Again! Perfection. Now what next? Where does Bread's journey take us from here? Or perhaps just as confusing, where has it taken us? What the hell has been going on in this crazy world? A man is plagued by existential anxiety and his psychologist believes him to be crazy while a loaf of bread really does rampage through his house. Some may say that Bob Merton really is crazy in that our adventures with Bread are merely hallucinations. But those people are silly. I am the arbiter of truth involving any floppy adventure. It's why I went to college. As of now, the main piece of evidence to support Mr. Merton not hallucinating is the portrayal of his psychologist by Bossa Studios, the creators of this revolutionary game. For instance, recall that he works for the Therapy Barn. With a name like that, Bossa isn't exactly painting this establishment in the most positive light. And then we have You'll Never Want to Leave. In the context of mental health, perhaps the Therapy Barn isn't exactly a 5-starer on Yelp. Maybe a 2.5. That's it for evidence on that topic for now, but I'm sure we'll find more along the journey of our hero, Bread. Stage 3 takes place just after Bob's psychologist yet again vomits his half-finished Associates of Psychology degree onto another therapy session note. Blah blah blah, blaming mental illness for his client claiming a loaf of bread is going on a rampage. This guy's a horrible doctor, saying Mr. Merton is experiencing blackouts and paranoia instead of believing the harrowing tale of bread? You gotta take 120 units to get that degree, buddy. 63 ain't gonna cut it. But enough of that. Even Mr. Merton isn't convinced the loaf is behind the bizarre happenings yet, and so he locks it in his bedroom to test his theory. Thus, bread finds itself in the bedroom, eyeing the environment for the proper toasting apparatus. The usual, really. It succeeds, but not before again taking in empty alcohol bottles and... diazepam? You're not supposed to take that with booze, Bob! Clearly, Bob's mental well-being is worsening as his existential crisis is amplified by a loaf coming to life. Poor Mr. Merton is losing his goddamn mind, foregoing his own health by combining anti-anxiety medication with alcohol to quiet his inner demons, if only for a moment. But on to new horizons we go. After a lovely flop sesh across the garden, bread now sits before its greatest challenge yet, the petrol station. This loaf's journey has taken it through far more than anyone thought possible for a mere wheat product. Now it scans over this foreign area. This is no private residence. This is a public gas station, reeking of grime, litter, and possible bodily excretions that could easily bring this loaf's edibility crashing down to zero. However, bread wields in its arsenal none other than magic marmalade. A lathering so delicious that no amount of used condoms or urine puddles can penetrate its delicious aura. And so bread flops with unhindered purpose until the marmalade runs out. And then what is bread's next? No, bread! This is not the climax you want to stick! You've become a monster blinded by destiny! Don't you see that? No amount of scraping will ever get this burntness off! What? 100%? Bread, you crazy bastard! You did it! And hey, this explosion occurred while Merton was locked in an institution. Further proof that Bread's journey is as real as the ground beneath you. What's this? It's written by Bob. He's escaped the institution his quack psychologist forced him into. He's heard of the explosion at the petrol station and knows Bread is behind it. Now he'll stop it at all costs. How did the loaf found its way into a moving car that says bread on it? Reminiscent of whatever the hell this is, bread flops towards unsuspecting Mr. Merton as he steers anxiously. Until... Stop right there! That watch. That sign! The former looks like none other than the hand from Surgeon Simulator, and the latter shows the name of the hospital from Surgeon Simulator, another title made by Bossa Studios. This hand belongs to Nigel Burke, the oh-so-famous surgeon from that wonderful game. And you'll notice the mustache of the patient in Surgeon Simulator matches Bob's precisely. Their names even match correctly. Okay, so maybe you don't realize Merton's first name is Bob until after you make the connection to Surgeon Simulator. But I can't just say Mr. Merton over and over and over. That would sound silly. So then I Am Bread is a prequel to Surgeon Simulator, with Mr. Merton being saved from his injuries by Nigel and his breathtaking surgical talents. After all, Nigel Burke is the best surgeon in the universe. Is this a happy ending, with Mr. Merton being called crazy as his life collapses around him, only to land him in a car accident caused by a violent startle by our hero Bread? Hell, is Bread even a hero? Yes, this loaf is Mr. Merton's saving grace. Bob is distressed about his job, divorce, and consumed by existential anxiety. Life has lost its purpose during his dark night of the soul. While the bread coming to life seems to destroy Bob's sanity, it is actually the greatest thing to ever happen to him. This bread has shattered his version of reality, given him a purpose to fight against. This bread has shown Mr. Merton that your idea of what is real can be broken in an instant and replaced with something you never imagined. Not only that, But while Mr. Merton is consumed by indifference that plagues so many today, this bread is filled with nothing but passion. So much passion, in fact, that it ceases to be an inanimate object and will stop at nothing to achieve its dream of becoming toast. This impossible, zeal-fueled rampage has dashed Mr. Merton's reality, driving him to the far reaches of what appears to be insanity to the untrained eye. Mr. Merton's fight against bread inverts his negative attitude to such a great extent that he rejects the opinions of everyone around him, believing in nothing but his own intuition. This vision of destiny that bleeds from bread wields such power that Bob is able to overcome security at his psych ward and pursue his own destiny, to halt bread from wreaking havoc. But the quest that shattered Merton's reality, so too shattered his body. Thanks to a helping hand, however, Bob may come back from near death a changed man. People who return from the edge of oblivion are often reborn with a grander perspective that reveals a greater purpose. With such a dramatic reversal of mindset already, I have no doubt Bob Merton will return to life with a zeal he never imagined. Not only because of Nigel's steady hand, but because of bread, the hero whose passion surpassed the laws of the universe to achieve its dreams. Although bread's effect on Bob mimics insanity, this madness brings with it a faith in oneself that Bob previously never had. Further still, bread's enlightened perspective will embed itself even deeper into Bob's mind, thanks to a life-changing brush with death. And that's the story you never knew.
Hey everybody, so the guys have no idea what I've planned for this outro, so let's go have some fun. I am bread! What the? I am bread!
Oh, fuck. That hurt.
I am bread!
Seriously? You're just throwing bread at me? You asshole. Fuck you.